What's going on, guys? It's me again, Mayhem from twitch.tv/ It's Mayhem Gaming. And today we're continuing our discussion from episode 1 last week on the LGBTQ community and how this transgendered movement is literally affecting our First Amendment, and more so in the state of California, as well as other countries such as Canada. Even though it's a sovereign nation, they have some extreme shit going on, bro. Stick around, check it out. Let's get started. But he's talking to a transgendered EMT, bro. And I'm gonna go through.
I think that's
Okay.
he's the dude with the beard and glasses, right?
Yeah, he has like a kind of like a cliff hairstyle, swept back, glasses. He wears like
Yeah.
a blue.
That guy that you're talking about.
Yeah.
He made a great documentary called "What Is a Woman,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's on the Daily Wire. And that documentary basically states like he goes around California and other places of the world, and he asks those people like, "What is a woman? Can you define a woman for me?" And it's like what I would suggest, dude. I would suggest just paying for like a month, 1 month membership of that place, of the Daily Wire, and watching that documentary. It is so good because the idea is that the Western Hemisphere is the only country in the world that only sees two genders. This guy literally goes to Africa, and he asks like other tribes there, like, what's a man and what's a woman? And they literally tell him like, what's a man and what's a woman? And then he asks them like, can a man do a woman's job and can a woman do a man's job? And the tribal leader laughed in his face. He's like, no, that's not possible. That's why there's a man and there's a woman. But it's a great documentary. You guys should definitely go watch it. It's on the Daily Wire with like Jordan Peterson, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. That's my guy. Let me get his name for you, actually. Damn. Oh, that's his name. Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh.
The guy. Yeah, Matt Walsh. WALSH. But go ahead and play the clip so they can hear.
You're not going to like that answer. You guys like to bring up high school level biology classes a lot, but people who go on to more complicated biology classes will talk about sex as a spectrum.
It's not.
Well, biological researchers would disagree with you.
Well, then they're full of the ones that would say that. You said you're an EMT. You're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a penis, is having a medical emergency. And they say to you, I think I'm having a miscarriage. Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
No.
See, off the rip there. And this transgendered EMT trying to argue this like multiple gendered thing, and like it's hilarious when they try to argue this, cause like it so easily collapses on itself. Like this topic, this argument that like the LGBTQ community, which I personally feel is no longer a community, it's more of a cult, bro. They're trying to have like the youth primarily in like this hive mind consensus, and to be like globalize this 32 36 gendered theory shit, because like it's fucking bullshit. But you can see right there a medical professional, right, transgendered, and trying to push this basically agenda, and it just collapses on what was his name, Matt Walsh, right, on his podcast, bro. like right there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the transgender, like the transgender movement, I wouldn't say it's a lot of people. I know there's some transgender that may not think the same, because we can't just categorize all of them into one
Well,
category.
yeah, but like the ones, the main like group are those people who are out here like advocating for this movement to change these laws and stuff. And like I'm sure there are like decent transgendered men and women out there who go about their business, they handle their shit, they leave everybody alone. Their life choice, is their life choice and their decisions, which is cool. I have no problem with those people. But it's these people that are like on social media, on all these random Instagram reels and like talk shows and stuff, trying to like advocate and like push for this like bullshit like theory that they're trying to like finalize and make it factual. Like they're even trying to incorporate it into like school curriculum.
Yeah, I just think it's like, if you even listen to a lot of them and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff is just feelings. Like, you feel that you're a man, you feel that you're a woman. Like, you can feel like that too. I mean, there's men that feel like women sometimes, but to go around like I'm a woman, like I think that's a little ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't force other people to cater to your feeling. Like, if my son, Ray, was at the top of the stairs and was like, "I'm Superman, Dad," I would be at the bottom of the stairs and be like, I understand you may feel like Superman with that cape, but don't try jumping down these 32 steps. Like, you'll die. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, like, you know, the suicide rate for transgenders after transitioning is still as high as before they transition.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't have the facts right here, but they have the transgender community is they have the highest suicide rates among any other community in the country or in the world. Right here. This attempted is by PubMed. You guys can search it up. It says data indicate that 82% of transgender individuals have considered killing themselves, and 40% have attempted suicide.
That's a large number.
Yeah, it says the highest amongst transgender youth. Using minority stress theory and the interpersonal theory of suicide, the study aims to better understand suicide risk amongst transgender youth. The present study examines that the influence of intervulnerable risk factors, interpersonal and environmental microaggressions, internalized self-stigma, and adverse childhood experiences on a basis, and protective factors of school belonging, family support, and peer support. Both lifetime suicide attempts and past 6 months suicidality in a sample of transgender youth. 56% of youth reported a previous suicide attempt, and 86% reported, I don't know how to pronounce this name, I feel like retarded, suicidality.
Sounds right to me.
That's pretty high. I mean, kids nowadays.
To be hearing this, man, like thinking about like, man, by the time I'm 45 or like getting ready to retire, like the world is sounding like a scary place, man. Cause like when I was a kid, man, I had no worries. I did not even consider this and stuff. I'm like, obviously, like my parents were like old school and they're from the Caribbean, and to like on the island, like homosexuality and that stuff, that shit is like not accepted at all, bro. Like you can't be gay, you can't be trans, bro. Like you get jumped, killed, like everything, bro. On the islands, at least.
I think it wasn't accepted before. I don't know where. Not that I don't think it benefits society at all. You know.
No.
That has nothing to do with it. Let me backtrack. I remember growing up. Let me start with I remember growing up. I had an uncle wasn't like normal to us. It was something that we like accepted. But one thing I was gonna say, like my uncle, he never forced us to you know, to call him our aunt and stuff like that. Like I guess because it was family, it was more like acceptable, should I say? But I don't think that he ever stepped out of a boundary to like oh, you have to call me this, you have to call me that. You know, we didn't disrespect him, we didn't like call him names and stuff like that. Like we didn't do that stuff. But we also didn't feel the need to be forced.
You didn't feel like obligated.
Yeah, we didn't feel obligated to do that.
That's a valid point. Like, as for adults, honestly, I could give two shits, but it's like, it's the fact that like nowadays, like we have like transgendered teenagers in like high schools. Like, growing up, like that was not a thing for me. There was lesbians, there was gay dudes and bisexuals, and that was it, bro. Maybe it was like some cross dressers here and there from like the drama club, or like English club or some shit like that, you know, whatever your school classified it as, you know, the English arts, and that was it. Like there was nobody transitioning from like a male to a female or a female to a male like in my school. And I stayed back twice in high school, and it's still none of that happened, bro. None of that. So like, to hear this stuff, like it's just fucking flabbergasting to me, dude. I'm like dumbfounded to like hear this.
You know, it's crazy thinking about like being in high school and stuff like that. Like, we had some people like that in our high school, and I was friends with some of them. I think the problem now is that motherfuckers are trying to push that shit onto other people and trying to make other people accept that certain things that, you know, society or like people generally don't want to accept. Because when I think of the people I knew in high school who were like, you can tell they were like guys, you know, transitioning to men, or women transitioning to to men. I mean, sorry, men transitioning to women and women transitioning to men. I feel like they never tried to push me to accept them or to like make them feel normalized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they never like they knew they wanted to be a man, or they knew they wanted to be a girl, but they didn't sit there like you have to like call me by her, and then like I would be like for example, if it was a guy, like yo bro, don't like let me see that pencil or something like that, or oh that came out wrong. Let me use your pencil. Or yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just it wasn't forced onto people, and I think now the problem is like you want to force it not only to people but onto kids, and then like when kids are young, they're trying to say kids as young as 3 years old know they're aware of their sexuality. No, the fuck they don't. No, the fuck they're not.
Yeah, I hate when people like say that. I'm like, they are not, bro. They're far from it.
Like, bro, I don't like I had nephews and cousins who were like they were babies when I was in like high school, or when I was like out of high school, and at the age of 3, 2, like they weren't fucking sitting there talking to me, telling me about something. I think I'm a her, or I think I'm a he. Like what they're talking about is like what they used to tell me. When you gonna buy me a Game Boy? Like that's the kind of shit kids talk about. I think the reason why kids will only think like that if you push that kind of agenda onto them, or you put that kind of mindset on them. If you indoctrinate them to think that that's okay, they're gonna think that because they're at a such vulnerable age that they're just sponges. They're gonna absorb anything that's around them because they're just trying to learn also.
Yeah, because like kids from like 2 to like, man, even like 9, bro, I'd say, are like, they're very impressionable. And especially like, as kids get older, you know, they want to be more like their favorite adult, like their favorite uncle or aunt or whatever, or like their friends, like older brother. And so like, if you're like pushing that like kind of mindset onto them, they're gonna accept that as like truth. Cause like, as a child, man, it's like you want like acceptance from like your favorite like older person to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
you want them to think you're cool too, you know, like, oh my, like, oh, like, I don't know, like Alex across the street's so cool, and like they're transgendered, so you know, let me be transgendered so I can be like Alex, and then I can be cool with everybody on the block, you know?
It's like no, no offense to anyone else out there, but it's like gang culture.
Yeah, actually,
Like,
yeah, yeah. To an extent, it really is, dude. It really is, and like,
I remember growing up in North Philly, like seeing people like beat other people up, jump other people, rob people, like carry guns and shit like that. I thought that was cool. Like I want to do that shit too. But I didn't really have anyone in my life to try to show me that's not good. Like I thought that was normal. But you know, some people as they get older, they start to realize like that's not normal. That it's weird. Not weird, but it's strange that people do that to survive.
with this drag queen talking about leave the kids alone, and how the LGBTQ, like, they need to go back to like their roots and like defend like the queer culture, and not like try to oppress the queer culture beliefs onto like the mass public.
Yeah.
Plus XYZ elemental P MAP movement. They no longer stand for equality or inclusion. They stand for cultural dominance. And I really decided to step away once they started pushing hormones and castration and sterilization on children. Because guess what? When I was 9 years old, I used to sneak and wear my sister's cheerleading outfits. I've always loved hair and makeup. So if I had been born today in this modern LGBTQIA XYZ culture, they would have told me I'm in the wrong body. And they could have given me hormones. They could have mutilated me before I was 18 and knew what I was doing. So the reason I stepped away is because all I ask is the freedom to be gay, wear a wig, have a good time. My freedoms end where the freedoms of others begin. And that includes evangelical Christians. That includes people who say I'm going to hell, because I am a free speech absolutist. And if I want to have the free speech to, you know, be crazy and have fun, then I have to defend the free speech of others. And so that's why in 2019, I just said enough is enough. This LGBTQIA plus movement is doing things in my name, so to speak, that I cannot tolerate.
I totally agree with what did you say, her or him?
I guess it's him because it just says a drag queen. So drag queens are typically men.
Yeah. I agree with him. Did you ever watch there's this YouTuber called Fleckless Talk. He's this funny guy. He walks around with like a wooden spoon. And he went to the gay pride parade in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked a bunch of gay guys, like, he's like, yeah, what's pride about? And they were like, oh, it's about inclusing and being inclusive to everyone, loving everyone, supporting everyone, and just, you know, being able to express your sexuality. And then they were like, Fenton was like, what do you think about Donald Trump? They're like, oh, fuck him, he needs to die, he's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, what about the whole inclusive part? Like, you're defeating your own purpose. And these pride parades are wild. Like, they have kids there, and the kids are seeing like balls, tits, nuts. Like, what kid needs to be exposed to that? Like,
Yeah, honestly, dude, I went to like I have gone to like maybe like 2 pride parades. My second one was by accident. I was in Lynn. I was skating to Salem. Anyways, I was in Lynn. I was skating to Salem. And then I saw this big commotion. They told me I can't skate here. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, we're having a parade. I'm like, oh, all right. So I'm chilling there. I came out of some witch shop and like I bought some like charms. And so I come out and I'm like vaping. I'm sitting here. There's this preacher with like a megaphone attached to like a speaker. And then he comes up to me and he's like, like the vapor, some shit. Like I should like repent. The hobbies I partake in are of sin, and I'm attracting the demonic and stuff. And like he said, like I'm going to burn with these heathens, and he called them this like this. It's like this really ancient name, dude. It's like what the Aramaics used to call like homosexuals and cross dressers back in the day. But and then out of nowhere, man, I just seen this dude with some colorful hair telling him like to get the fuck off of like the road, like he's gonna like interrupt the float. And then like a cop came and then like, he pulled him to the side, and then like this man chick lady like the face looked like a man, but like he had like tits with like black X's out, and they were like doing like somersaults and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then like there was like this other dude, he had like this kilt, and they were like kicking their feet up, and like they're like schlong and shit was just like everywhere. And I'm like, oh my, it's a fucking pride parade. I'm like, I thought it was over. And I'm like, I was talking to somebody, I'm like, yo, I thought the gay pride march was done. I'm like, oh my, it's done in Boston, but it travels from Boston to like the other greater common areas. I'm like, that's so retarded. And there was like children there too. Some of them were like on their scooters, skateboards and stuff. And then like there was like this chick or whatever giving them stickers, and like completely just like topless, bro. Just like had like some pasty stickers on, like covering her shit. And like these kids were like 5, 6, 7. I'm like, yo, who's letting this lady like interact with like these children over here? I'm like, yo, I yelled out to her, I'm like, yo, put a shirt on. And then like I walked away in the crowd, and she was like trying to like look for whoever said that. I guess she wanted to like start an argument or some shit. But like honestly, it was just like, I feel like it needs to be regulated. Like kids should not be around during like those events or something.
But it's crazy because like it is regulated. Like, well, how come any other day no one could walk outside with their balls and dick out or their tits out, but it just so happened to be only like the pride parade they could walk out just all dude, like no problem, or semi nude. Like, what was it, like 10 years ago? It would get the shit beat out of you who did that. But all of a sudden, like, it's okay to do that. I didn't think it was weird.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago, what's happening today would have never been accepted back then. Never, bro. And I find ironic, right, that like our Pledge of Allegiance starts off with like I pledge allegiance to the flag with, I don't even remember it all, to be honest, but I know it says one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it's like it's kind of funny, it's humorous, really. It's like, oh my, we're supposed to be one nation under God, but we are doing the exact opposite of that. And like we don't have to be like a religious like country or anything, but like, yo, you can have your allegiance like start off like this, and then the first thing you're like voting into office and like passing like bills and laws and stuff are for things that like transgress like what the will of God, you can say.
Yeah, I don't know, but you know, like what was it, Matt Walsh, right?
Yeah.
So Matt Walsh, there's another clip about him that I hope you can find it. Here's another clip. This woman is trying to say, like, well, it's a guy who's transitioned to be a woman. He was trying to say, like, I'm a woman. And he explained, well, how do you know you're a woman? And the guy was like, well, I'm a woman because, like, everyone around me tells me I'm a woman. I've always felt like I was a woman.
I know
Like,
what clip you're talking about, dude.
and so, like, if everyone around me, like, they're always confirming that I'm a woman, so I feel like I'm a woman and I should be a woman. And he's like, see, that's the problem. No one has to tell me or confirm to me that I'm a man. I know that I'm a man, whether I feel like I'm a man or not. I think that was like the craziest thing. He was left speechless because how the fuck can you even argue about that? If someone needs to constantly remind you that you're a man, are you actually a man?
I strongly agree with that, dude. Cause like, if you need that much reassurance that you are something, you're clearly not it. Then, like,
Yeah.
I don't walk down the street and I need every person I walk by, like, to validate that I'm a man. Or like when I'm at work, I need every customer to validate that, like, I am a man, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you need someone to validate that you're something, it's most likely that you're not. That's like you're being on a sport team and the coach only lets you play because he has to, and you're part of the school.
Yeah.
But every time you come off the field, he's like, yeah, you're a great defender, man. You're a great defender. And he just turns around, walk away, and then you're like, yeah, I'm a great defender. But in reality, all your other friends are like, no, you're dog shit.
Right.
You know, like,
You're just allowed to play because of, like, regulations.
yeah.
Alright, so I have two more reels that one is this kid, he's like on a he's on like a college campus in California, and like he's trying to like talk to this lady that, like, the new law that is passed is
Is
like,
he sitting down and talking to her?
no, this guy's standing up. But I know what guy you're talking about. But no, it's kind of the same concept of what he does, but this guy's just standing up doing it.
Is it an older guy like Jordan Peterson?
No, he's like around our age.
Well, Jordan Peterson, bro, you should really watch his stuff, man. He is like, his stuff is just amazing. Like the things that he helps you realize and see. I feel like he's low key a therapist that you pay monthly to if you watch his videos, because he has a lot of useful information that if you don't have access to like a therapist and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the therapy is expensive, and he is a psychologist. But on the Daily Wire, he had these segments, and he had religious segments too. But he also had these other segments that basically explain like how you can be a man within your society and within society nowadays, and other things about like marriages and stuff like that. That it's like, I think it's tremendous information. I think everyone should take the opportunity to just watch a couple, like, whether you're doing dishes or like you're cleaning. Like, you don't have to watch the video, just listen to what he has to say. I think a lot of people can get some useful information, or maybe people who are like lost and don't really know what to do. Maybe I should take my own advice also. But he has a lot of stuff that I think is pretty useful. I'm repeating myself again.
So you said,
I think his work is so good.
you said it's on the Wire, and what was his name?
It's called the Daily Wire. It's like Jordan Peterson. The Daily Wire is like it's a compilation of like these conservative people.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like, they do shows and they do like streaming stuff, and they basically like, they all talk about something different. Like Ben Shapiro talks about politics, and he does the funny segment of like, he watched like transgenders on TikTok, and then just like, he makes like not fun of them, but he just like calls out their nonsense. Jordan Peterson, he's a psychologist, talks about like, let me pull up some of his content. Like, talks about like men stuff, how you gonna be a man and stuff
Yeah.
like that. There's other Candace Owen. She's another conservative that's on it. She's actually has another movie coming out called Convicting a Murderer.
A movie.
Matt Walsh. Yeah, they have movies that they put out
I need to check that
that
out.
are really really good. They even have stuff for kids if you want your son to watch certain things.
Oh shit! I gotta check this out, bro. What?
It's like $14 a month, or you can pay a monthly membership, but it's
Oh yeah, you're okay with that? Yes. Oh, okay. So you think if I misgender some, okay, so if I go up to somebody and I misgender them, I can face prison time, and you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, that's the problem.
The problem
You're forcing speech.
is that, okay, so if you went up to me and you're like, you're a man, if you came up to me and you told me...
I don't want to assume your gender, so I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, well, I abide by she, her pronouns.
Okay.
Alright. But,
And if I say him, I could face prison time in California, and you're okay with that. That's forcing speech. That is a form of fascism. That's the problem.
And then this student like perked her lips up because like she knew she was in the wrong, bro. Cause like that right there, I don't know how this law is passed, but it violates the First Amendment like so like badly, dude. Like because you don't know this stranger and she looks like a chick, so you assume she's a chick. So you say, "Oh, hey, ma'am," or "Hey, lady," and she said, "Oh, you're gonna assume my gender," and then I'm a male, and then like report you to an officer, and then you get like cuffed. You go to new man unit. They fucking roll your fingers and shit, lock you up. You're in the system now, right? So like, your life is could be fucked. I don't know. Like it all depends on your lawyer and like your income situation, obviously. When it comes like to court systems, but like your life is kind of fucked just because this person looked like a female but they identified as a male, and that's definitely violates the freedom of speech. Like I should be able to assume you're a female because you look like a female because you're fucking long hair, blonde, blue eyed, like big titty bitch walking around with like a mani petty, bro. But no, you're a guy.
no problem. I mean, I'm just happy that it's only in California, and at this point I'm not surprised. California is always passing some bullshit law, like alright, so I guess like you can't drive any like semi trucks in California if they're older than 2020 due to like pollution and stuff like that. But they're always doing something to like seem like woke and stuff like that. Like, did you know that they're trying to pass a bill I think they got it passed, but they haven't passed it through someone else. Reparations to to people to black people because of slavery. And I think it's like eight point something billion dollars that they'll have to pay. I don't know who the fuck is gonna live in California after that.
Wait. It's a bill that pays what to slaves?
It pays black people reparations for slavery.
I don't know what.
I'm looking for
I mean, I don't not believe it, cause like the amount of ridiculous like bills that are passed and stuff are just too much. Like,
this is on MSN. This is California Reparation Task Force recommends over $225 billion dollars payout on just only alone the war on drugs compensation.
this country's already so far in debt. Like, doing like ludicrous bills and like passing laws like this that require so much funding and like money, it's crazy. It just puts us in higher inflation and more in debt for stuff like this. Cause
Alright.
this was an issue. Like, hold on. Like this slavery like spiel. This should have been settled like in the 1900s, versus like now we're like almost like halfway to 2100s, dude.
This is what I got. This is an article on what's it called? Let me see. What's this company's name? Fortune. Says California plans to pay reparations for slavery legacy could include payments up to $1.2 million per person. Let me give you a little bit of context of what they're talking about. See, the numbers are striking in their position. The statistical value of each year of human life, accounting for racial differences and life expectancy, is $13,619. Wealth missing due to lower rates of black home ownership is $148,099. Average devaluation of black businesses is $77,000 a year. Each year, the disproportionate incarceration factor by race, combining loss, wages, and freedom, is 159,792. By these calculations, California Task Force to study and develop reparation proposal for African Americans buried in nearly 500-page draft of a report that will go to the state legislature in late June. Allow the complexity and raw emotion underlying the first state level effort to provide compensation for the legacy of slavery discrimination in the U.S. By even considering reparations that have compounded for centuries, California is transforming what has been a largely theoretical concept into a detailed model that may be adopted elsewhere, as others also attempt to reckon with the cost of historical injustices and a potential cost of up to $800 billion. That would be, to date, the largest and one of the most complex reparation efforts in history.
$800 billion, bro?
Is what they'll have to make up to be able to pay back reparations to African Americans.
Bro, that's not even fathomable, bro. Like, what's Elon Musk's net worth? I don't even think he has that much money, dude.
He's like 65 billion.
Yeah, look at that. Like, that's crazy, dude. And welcome in, Creaky. Right now we're discussing how our legislative branch in California is trying to pass a bill or law to help reprimand black slavery by basically just paying them dues for reconciliation for what the white man did to them, and the project would cost the country $800 billion. Hearing.
So, yeah. It's like it's all wordplay. Like that's like that has a lot to do with legalities and stuff like that. Like it makes sense, but I think they do things like that in sales too, where you have to change certain words.
Oh yeah. Like
because of the mind.
It's a big marketing thing, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play the clip right now, and so I don't care if you're religious, you're not religious. Like the idea is the same. It works for anything. You want to sell shit to somebody, or like you want to like persuade somebody's mindset to do something they don't want to do. Like if you change the wording, it'd make them more susceptible into like accepting your ideology or idea or transitioning process.
Satan will change the name of sin to make sin adaptable to accept. So instead of changing our ways, we will change the wording. Instead of pedophilia, we'll call it minor attracted people. Instead of sexual exploitation, let's call it adult entertainment. Instead of sex cults where we bump and grind, we'll just call them music clubs. Instead of cults, we'll call them clubs. Instead of adultery, we'll call it swinging and open marriages. Instead of mental illness, let's call it gender dysphoria. Instead of gender mutilation, let's call it gender transitioning. Instead of fornication, let's call it intimacy. Instead of lust, let's call it love. Instead of calling it a spiritual battle of good and evil, let's call it political. Let's call it a phobia. Let's call it hate speech. Call it something else. We are not called baby killers. We're called abortionists. It's no longer sin. It's a complex. It's an addiction. It's a disorder. It's an obsession. So we don't feel bad about our sins. We change the name of them. And when we hear the truth preached, we feel conviction, but we condemn the preacher as hate speech.
I know that pastor. I watch him a lot. But even if we take the context of religious out of it, he is not wrong with how we change the wordings of certain things. Like the big thing that what's this guy's name? Dr. Umar Johnson, I believe his name is. He was explaining how because of the LGBTQ movement and stuff like that, they're trying to change how we view pedophiles. Because before, like, we call them pedophiles, but now they're trying to change them to minor attracted person, so that it can become
more acceptable,
socially acceptable, and that's correct. And it's just absurd to me that, you know, the only thing is that, like, unfortunately, that pastor would take a lot of backlash because they're going to be like, well, you're religious, of course you're going to think like that. Like, you're brainwashed. But then, like, I would step back and be like, wait, aren't you brainwashed also? Because to call him brainwashed, he has a certain belief and a certain way of life, and you have a certain belief and a certain way of life. Wouldn't that make you brainwashed also?
Yeah, because, like, it's because, like, his way of life is conflicting, like, your programming in a sense. So it's not like computing or correlating properly. So it's like, oh, there can only be one. Either he's right or I'm right, you know? There can't be no middle ground.
But that's the thing too. Everyone has to step back and say, there is, I don't know what, like, I always tell people, there can only be objective truth in this world. There can't be subjective truth. And then they're like, well, how do you explain that? I'm like,
all right, Willie, I appreciate you for being here, man. Have a good night.
Good night, man. I would say, like, objective truth is no matter how many times you add 3 and 3 together, is always going to equal 6. That's objective truth. Subjective truth is you think 3 plus 3 equals 7. Like, you may think that that's true, but just because you think it's true doesn't mean it's true.
Mm.
And I think that's what's going on with the transgender theory too, is that they believe it is true that you can change your gender. Like, just like I can't change my age, I can't change. Well, surgically you can, but just because you can surgically do it doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, like, you can change your phenotype, but you can't change your genotype.
Yeah. Did you hear about that British dude who tried to get a judge to, like, allow him to change his age because he was trying to date, like, some women's on Tinder, but because he had a lot, he wasn't trying to date like 18-year-olds or stuff like that. He was trying to date like 10 years younger than him.
What, so like minors, like 15, 14-year-olds?
No. He was like, so he was 60. He wanted to change his age to like 50 so he can date people around 40 and 50.
So, he was younger.
Yeah, he wasn't no pedophile or anything. Like, he just wanted to date like 10 years younger than him. But the I just think it was a funny case, and like I watched the video, and he was laughing about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, I was just trying to. I don't want to date people a little bit younger than me. But I can't get a date because I'm so old."
That's crazy, man. That's this it goes hand in hand with like this mindset, like, oh, like you can identify as anything, right? So I'm like, all right, so like I'm a 16-year-old boy. That's what I identify as. So it must be true. Like that's ludicrous shit, bro.
Bro, there was this woman. She was a conservative. I used to watch her. There's a video of her like she like someone was like a woman was upset that she was the only woman on the podium and everyone else was male, and she was like, "Oh well, I identify as a guy." She was like, "It's like," she was like, "Oh," she was like, "Well, you don't seem like a guy." I understand. She was like, "Did you just assume my gender?" She was like, "Well, you don't look like a guy," and she was like, "Well, I'm a guy. I identify as a guy." She was like, "Oh, really?" She was like, "Yeah, I approve." She pulled out her ID because she legally changed her her gender to man, and showed her, and then like the woman was left speechless, bro. And then she was like, "Oh, I also identify as a tactile."
Yo, I know what episode you're talking about, dude. I know what you're talking about.
She stopped reporting. She got married and has like a son now. But I forgot her name.
I know what you're talking about. She was like, she was up there, dude, like pressing this chick. And when she seen that shit, I remember that. She said, "Okay, well, I identify as an attack helicopter." I'll never forget that. I seen that. I seen that like aired when it was live, bro.
No, it's not. It's not any culture. It's another.
Well, I think we had some great discussion tonight. So I am closing this off. I appreciate all the 15 to like 21 live viewers we had come in here, hear us out, chatted a little bit, stayed lurked in the chat. I appreciate everyone. And as always, man, just drop a like, share, comments, subscribe to Twitch or YouTube, whichever. I appreciate both. Have a good night, guys. Oh, and this is Notorious Pine. Check him out at twitch.tv/NotoriousPine. Thank you.
Also, check out the Daily Wire. If you guys need information or want to learn more about like conservative or to get some information about certain like leftist myths, go to the Daily Wire. Check out some of the videos. They have great movies, great shows, and they even have stuff for kids. It's $14, $10 a month. They always have sales for like annual subscriptions. Go check them out. I'm not an affiliate. They just have great content. So, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, bet. And use code Mayhem22 at w.gg. Thank you.